Yo, and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Connor. How you doing, boy?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Ready to talk some Ipswich while it's nice and sunny here, actually.
Mate, I'm not...
8:30 and what was it, 27 degrees? What's going on?
It is absolutely boiling in the UK right now. Listen, I'm not going to lie, though. I never thought that I'd be sat talking to an Ipswich fan. That was the one club I was fretting the most to find a rep for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because we started this fan series like this is our third season running, so maybe like 2 seasons ago. And back then, Leicester were in the Prem and Southampton were in the Prem. So the fact that they came back up this season, I already had my reps. Like one of them is a mate that lives like down the road from me. Another is like a guy from Leicester, and like we just got along well. So I was like, okay, no stress. But listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to chat everything. Was it Tractors? Is that the
Tractor Boys? The Tractor
Boys.
The pride of Anglia. Pride of Anglia. There's not any Norwich fans is there. They won't like that.
No, I don't think we have any Norwich reps, so that's definitely a first.
That's what I like to
hear. All right, listeners, welcome back to yet another Inside Trax series episode. Yeah, we're here to chat everything Ipswich. But before we get started, I'm gonna let you do your fan introduction real quick. Tell us your name, your Twitter handle, the club that you're representing, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Connor. My Twitter handle, is Big C Macca. It's quite embarrassing, really. Yeah, so my club is Ipswich Town. The good old Tractor Boys. I'm born and bred in Ipswich, born in Ipswich Hospital, so yeah, born and bred here. And what I do, I work within Salesport in energy for a company called Smartest Energy, and I've been doing that for about a year and a half now, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So that's what I do.
Wait, are you telling me that I could get a discount on my energy bill if this progresses well?
Maybe. Depends how well it goes. We'll see.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Your mate that introduced us, he told me that apparently when you guys got promoted, you were caught running across the pitch in celebration. Is this a true story?
That is true. So I managed to get on the pitch, ran straight to the middle looking for some players. Couldn't see any. It was already so crowded.
Yeah.
So I tapped my mate. I was like, right, let's go left, see if we can see any other players or a manager. Went left, and Kieran McKenna was there, our manager. So I managed to get hold of him and grab him and get a video of it. So that was brilliant.
Oh, no
and
way.
Then after it as well, went for a few beers, and I got my top signed by like most of the players, to be honest. So that was a great night. One of the best nights of my life, I'd say. Yeah, definitely.
Surely you've got that t-shirt framed somewhere locked
I haven't.
away. No,
I've still got it just sitting here, not framed. I've been lazy as anything.
Amazing.
Still quite smelly from the night as well.
Oh,
so.
I mean that's all part of how valuable it is, right? So
exactly, you got to keep the smell as well.
Yeah, 100%. That is absolutely amazing. All right, yeah, listeners, I cannot wait to dig into this episode. But before we get started, I'll give you the full breakdown. If this is your first time to the Inside Track series, we've got 3 main segments. First segment is a bit of a general discussion. We're going to talk about the impact of any sort of change in manager, but you know, McKenna's still there. So any change in coaches, hierarchy of the club, I don't know if that's going to affect the way we look at transfers moving forward. We're going to talk about their previous season's performance and new season's expectations. Talk about, you know, what their system was like in the championship and maybe what it could be in the upcoming Premier League campaign. And that obviously ties into expected formation and starting 11. And then obviously we're going to dig into some fan track side of things. We're going to get Connor's advice in terms of the first pick from Ipswich, the next 3 picks, which rounds he's going to take them, at least one hidden gem and at least one trap asset. And then finally, being an experienced Fantrax manager, we're going to get his advice. You know, how does he do trades? How does he spend his fab if he even uses it? And some of his best and worst moments thus far. All right, let's get started. So I'll be honest, the only thing I know about Ipswich coming into this is the fact that you guys, after getting promoted from League One into Championship, you only spent the 1 year there. got promoted straight back into the Premier League. And it was a 2-0 victory at home on the final match day of the season that confirmed your second place finish, which secured back-to-back promotions. And you're back in the Premier League after 22 years. How does it feel,
Finally.
Connor?
Oh, it's amazing. It's honestly, the town, just everything is so positive at the moment. It's so nice. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting it, to be honest, because well, we had Mick McCarthy for quite a few years, and we were just stalemate in the Championship, to be honest. Weren't playing nice football. And then we got Hurst in, who. So we basically got rid of McCarthy, who was doing okay, and I can't remember how many years exactly he was at our club, but it was a fair while. And then we took a risk in getting Hurst, and he just got rid of loads of our players, got a load of players in from lower leagues, which wasn't successful. He did horrendous and got sacked, actually. And then we had a few seasons with Kirk and Lambert, who did okay but not great in League One. And then we got some new owners in who actually put money into our club for once. Because under Marcus Evans, he never put money into our club.
Yeah.
He was just miserable. Didn't get any exciting signings. There's always free agents. And then we also got Mark Ashton in, as our managing director, and he took a punt on a young manager who hadn't managed at a team before. And I must admit, when I saw he got him in, I was a bit like, oh no, how's this going to go down, basically. But he's just been incredible, absolutely amazing. He's I think he did sports science and stuff at Loughborough.
Okay.
So he kind of took a different route down, and then he was at Tottenham, I think, under 18s, and then he went on to Manchester United, where he was assistant. And yeah, I think that must have helped, because under Jose Mourinho, it must have gave him that knowledge, because he has been absolutely incredible for us.
Yeah. I mean, McKenna was definitely one of the names going around with all the existing clubs in the Premier League, hunting for managers. And I mean, I'm gonna break bad news to you. I'm a Chelsea fan, so
Yeah.
our club was also looking at McKenna potentially as hiring him and stuff like that, right? But I wasn't sure what to expect. I don't know, how he runs his teams, how he runs his system. So there was a lot of unknowns for me. And the thing is I come from a background as well where I wasn't raised where, with League One, League Two, Championship football. So unless you, I think, grew up in that ecosystem, you won't be aware of, the lower divisions and what their managers have kind of gone through, like you explained, their trajectory in terms of their career and stuff like that, right? But you must be buzzing that he's decided to stay with the club and, for the challenge of the upcoming 24-25 campaign. Has anything else changed at the club? Because I know a lot of people were warning Fantrax managers in terms of preseason content prep that be careful with Ipswich assets, because a lot of their starting 11 that got them into the Premier League isn't there, and there's a chance that you're going to see a lot of fresh new faces. And is that as a result of, management or ownership?
Well, firstly, I've got a confession. So I've always been from young, obviously Ipswich was my hometown club.
Yeah.
But growing up, I've always been a Chelsea fan.
Oh,
as my Premier
lovely.
League team, so you'll love that. So, but then when I saw the links with McKenna, I was like, come on, Chelsea, you can't do this. Wouldn't have supported them ever again. Wouldn't have even looked at them the same. So I'm really glad they didn't get McKenna. I think that was some of the best news I've had for a while, that he signed a new contract, because I think it's obvious that the main reason we're in the Premier League now is due to him.
Yeah.
Just his philosophy, just everything is brought into the club. But I think because obviously we were in the in League One 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
We didn't make a load of signings, to be honest. And I think a lot of people were kind of concerned last season, because they didn't know if the players would be able to step up for the Championship, because that is still quite a big jump.
Yeah.
And they adapted really well. I think it's more his system and how he's got them all playing.
Yeah.
They work well in the system. They know where to play, sort of thing. And yeah, so the League One season we came second, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I think I predicted us to come in the playoffs in the
Mm.
championships, and my mates were like, "You being an idiot!" Like they were all saying mid-table, which I think was fair, obviously.
Hmm.
And then we ended up coming second, so automatic promotion. So that
Yeah.
was a big surprise. And yeah, I just all the players stepped up. We didn't have like any standout goal scorers or anything that like or any big signings. It was kind of our core from League One that came up and got us up again.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think our cores really helped, and also so coming on to this season, I'll talk about signings a bit later, but
Yeah.
I think I don't think there will be a massive change in the team we had from last season. I don't think there'll be loads of different players in. There'll be a couple, but I do think, like you say, it's kind of hard to judge Ipswich because obviously we're coming up. You don't know which player's gonna just smash it in the Premier League or if they'll struggle. It's really hard to judge with Ipswich, but I think there will be a couple that I'll tell you about later that I think will.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'm very much excited about what you guys can offer attacking wise as well. Because I mean, you look back at the championship last season, you guys finished second, sure, but you still scored the most goals in the championship as well, right? And I mean, you have to take notice of that, regardless of whether Leicester won or whatnot. And I mean, you look at Leicester right now; they're conceding goals for fun. I have no idea what they're up to. So there's a lot of chaos and anarchy right now in terms of they won't settle, like they lost their manager, we got their manager, etc., right? So
Yeah.
but in terms of Ipswich, I mean, we might as well like talk about the ins or some of the transfers from this window, right? So in terms of like your outs, I'm gonna list a few names, and I mean, let me know which ones you think were like some massive losses for you guys. Uh,
Yep.
Caden Jackson, Dominic Ball, Sonia Luko, Vaclav
Hladky. Hladky.
Pladki,
Yeah.
yeah. Ghassan Ahadme, Idris El Mizuni, and Corey Ndaba. Any of those stand out for you as massive losses?
The biggest one definitely is Hladky. He was our keeper last season.
Okay.
And I think everyone was a bit gutted when they saw he was going. He didn't sign a new contract, so he went off to Burnley. And I was a bit gutted with that as well because he wasn't our first team keeper at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then our first team goalkeeper, who was Walton, got injured. So he got his chance and he just took it very well. He was unbelievable with his feet. I think he saved us for a lot of points last season. He gained us a lot of points just from big saves he'd made. Um, and yeah, he helped massively with the football McKenna wanted to play because he wants the keeper to kind of pick the ball up and also pass it out, not just smack it up the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think he was very good at that, and he kind of got us like playing like that out from the back. I think some of the older fans are kind of getting annoyed with it, going, "Go on, smack it up," but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not the modern football nowadays, is it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think Hladky was a massive loss. And very confusing at the time. But with replacing with Muric, who has got Premier League experience,
Yeah.
he's played for Man City, so you can't exactly be a bad player to play for Man City, can you? And he's had a really good pre-season. He looks good with his feet.
Yeah.
I think he plays quite high up as well, so he's kind of like another defender out there as well. So I think it's a perfect replacement. But I think we still will miss Hladky, but I don't think we'll have any problems with Muric coming in. Another one is I think there's only one more out of that list that you said. So Caden Jackson, I think he was good for us in the system. I don't think he was amazing. He was kind of a player that would come off the bench and just like inject some energy. He had quite a few good games. He'd actually been at Town for a while as well. So I think Town fans will miss him, but it's definitely I don't think he would have been able to play in the Premier League. I saw him on the night after we got promoted,
Yeah.
and I said to him, "How does it feel to be a Premier footballer?" And he just went, "Have you got the contract then, mate?" Oh, I see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fair play. All right, fair enough. I mean, to touch on Muric as well. Yeah, you're right. He is a goalkeeper that I think it was trained to play with his feet. I mean, he had a couple slip ups last season under Burnley. I remember the ball slipping under his feet going into goal.
Mm.
He does have a little bit of like a few mistakes in him, but great shot stopper. He was one of the standout Fantrax assets from last season, even though he played a limited number of games. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Fantrax managers were basically trying to get him as their keeper as soon as possible, right? If you're not gonna get, your Allisons, your Andre Onanas, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see his impact. So let's continue talking about some of the transfers that came into the club. I'll go one name at a time. Connor Townsend. What can you tell us about him?
He is basically a backup for Leif Davis, because I think there were times last season where Leif Davis was injured, or he played a lot of games, so we kind of needed a rest. And we didn't have anyone to like kind of come in for him or to replace him. So Connor Townsend is kind of just like a backup for him.
Mm.
He he's a 31-year-old, so he's fairly experienced. I haven't watched him too much, if I'm honest, but I look to see like what West Brom fans think of him, and they don't rate him too highly. But the thing is, I don't think he'll play too much because Leif Davis is so important to our team. But at least we've got someone to fall back on if he does get injured.
Yeah, and competition also kind of forces your first team players to, perform better.
Exactly.
You need that because if you slack off in the Premier League, it'll eat you up, chew you out, and spit you right back into the Championship,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, all right, another name, Liam Delap coming in from Manchester City. Is there some sort of like maybe an excitement given the fact how Cole Palmer turned out for Chelsea?
I think it's definitely very promising and exciting. He did do well at Hull last season. He didn't score a ton of goals, but he looked good when he played, and I know Hull fans thought a lot of him. I think it is kind of risky on our side because I think we need a striker who we know scores goals and can do it in the Premier League, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a risk, but there was definitely times where I watched him even at Man City, and he looked very good at a young age as well. But yeah, I think we still need more depth in the striker area, but I think he will do quite well, actually.
Okay, exciting. Next name I have up is Jacob Greaves coming in from Hull City. What can you tell us about him?
He's definitely he's the second most I'm excited for, I'd say.
Okay.
I don't think we exactly needed his position, which is left centre back. I think we need more of a right centre back because we've got Cameron Burgess, who I actually really like. But
Okay.
Greaves, obviously, he was I think he was Hull Player of the Season last season,
All right.
and he also made the Championship Team of the Season. I know he's very dominant in the air. He wins a lot of ball, and he's good with his feet. And all I've heard about him is good stuff. Whenever I've watched him, he's looked really good. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely very excited about that sign. I think I've got a road call on him. I think he'll make England team within, let's say, the next 3 years.
All right.
I think he could do it. I think he could do it. Maybe not a regular starter, but I think he may make the team.
Okay, very exciting. All right, next name, Ben Johnson coming in from West Ham. I think a lot of Fantrax managers would be, familiar with his potential, his output, etc. Where do you see him playing next season for Ipswich?
So I think we desperately need a right back. So I think he'll definitely be playing there. Yeah, obviously Prem experience, which we need, like being new to the Premier League. I know I think West Ham fans rated him really highly. We're a bit gutted about him going because he's one of their youngsters, isn't he? I know I think he's quite good on the ball and quick, which obviously you want from a right back.
Yeah.
And a good defender, because what we have is we have Leif Davis kind of bombing on from the left.
Yeah.
And then the right back will kind of come in as a right centre back.
Yeah.
And I think he'll do that really well because he can play centre back as well. So I think that's a really good sign, and he'll do well for us. And I reckon he'll be our starting right back, to be honest.
Awesome. Final name I want to touch on, coming in from Chelsea. I think this is the one that everyone is kind of buzzing for the most. Omari Hutchinson.
Oh, yeah. What a player. Yeah, he so last season he kind of he didn't like set the world alight straight away. He was kind of coming off the bench a lot. He looked quite lightweight, but you could tell there was potential there. And then the second part of the season was just incredible. He was just so confident. He was shooting more. He was taking players on. He's quick, and you could just tell that quality that he had in him. So obviously coming into the Prem, I think he was the main signing we wanted. I think McKenna even made a comment about it at the end of season award, saying, I think Ashton said to him, "What do you want for Christmas?" And he said, Amari Hutchinson or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah. And he can play on the left, he can play on the right, or he can play in cam. So he's definitely the most exciting player for us. Him and Leaf. So yeah, I think he's our best signing definitely, and he'll do well this season, I'm sure.
So it's interesting. What jumps out to me immediately is that it sounds like Omari definitely talent, possible talisman for Ipswich, but maybe Fantrax managers should be a bit patient with his start, given the fact that like how he kind of performed in the championship. You saw the potential, but it only came in the latter half, right?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a player worth taking the risk on because obviously he's more experienced in our team now. It took him a while to like get settled in, but he knows how to play with the players now. I think he'll be more of a starter now, so I think I would recommend getting him and just taking the hit on him. But as you say, he could kind of take a while to adapt to the Prem. You never know; it's a different breed, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's just a wait and see sort of situation.
Okay, awesome. So can you touch on what the system was like for you guys in the championship, and then maybe we can transition into what you're expecting the system will be like next season, and then the formation starting 11.
Yeah, so I don't think the system will change too much, sorry, from last season. So kind of the formation we played was 4-2-3-1, and sometimes we'd kind of go into a 5-2-2-1, where the right mid would kind of drop back a bit just in defensive like times if we needed him. So I don't think that will change too much. I think some of the new signings will start, like Ben Johnson will start, Greaves will start, Amari will start. We're still linked with quite a few new players, and McKenna said we're going to get a few more signings in. I think we're currently linked with Calvin Phillips was linked today, actually. So that'd be interesting if we get him. Gustavo Hamer for Sheffield United.
Yeah, he was
He'd
a
be a good
popular
signing.
asset as well in Fantrax when
Yeah, I
Sheffield
think
were
he'd do
there.
very well for us. Yeah, Jack Clark and Sam Smodix as well. So I think we definitely need a few more signings. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I don't think there'll be any new systems because we'll still play the same formation. And what McKenna was really good with last season was making the subs at the right time. So I think we need that depth as well to make sure we've got players coming on that will change the game. If I go into our starting 11, so I think we'll have Ingar, I think we'll have Muric. Right back, I think will be Ben Johnson. But at the start, I could see Twanzebe starting because obviously Twanzebe has that Prem experience and he's played for us before. Johnson being new, I don't think Johnson's had a great preseason so far. He's sometimes looked a bit out of his depth, or maybe like not being new to the system. He hasn't got used to it yet.
Yeah.
So it'll be a toss up out of them two, I think. I can see centre backs being Wolfenden and Greaves coming in straight away, I think. Left back will be Leif Davis, that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Two centre mids, it will be Sam Wars, he is our skipper, he'll play every game. And then I think it will be Jack Taylor, but I think it will be either him or Luongo.
Okay.
But I think that's probably our weakest point in our team as centre mid, so I think that's where we need to get someone in. Because Luongo was very good for us last season, but I think I'm not sure he's ready for the Prem at all. Taylor didn't play too much. He has some decent games. He's got a hell of a strike on him, but again, I'm not sure if he's ready for the Premier League. So it will just depend really on the day and who McKenna wants to go with him and Luongo, I'd say. Right wing, I think will be Wes Burns. He's he was kind of stuck on right wing last season. He gets it as defender, gets back as well, very quick. Left wing, I think, will be Hutchinson. I think he'll be on the left. We've got Broadhead out injured at the moment, so he won't be there.
Right.
and then in Cam will be Chaplin. I think he got our most goal contributions last season, so he's definitely a key asset to our team, and he's got a great pass on him, good shot on him, so that's kind of what you want from your Cam. He does go missing a bit though, that I find in games, but then he does pop up with a goal, so I can't really have a go at him for
Yeah.
that. And then up front, I think will be Delap, because we've got George Hurst, who was kind of I'd say main striker last season, but he got injured quite a lot last season. He's injured again, and he's out for 2 months, I think. And the only other real option we've got is Liam Delap, so I think he'll be starting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, alluding to Connor Chaplin's numbers, 13 goals, 8 assists, healthy return, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
given this entire landscape and the way you've presented Ipswich, what are your expectations as a fan next season?
Um, I don't expect the world. Obviously, it's a bit different from play. Well, there were some good teams in the Championship, but now we're going to be playing the likes of Manchester City,
Yeah.
Liverpool, them sort of teams. So it's a big step. I think we will do okay. I think we'll give teams a good game. We didn't really seem to back off last season when we had a tough game. We got beat by Leeds 4-0, but we were still trying to play our game.
Mm.
But that's the other thing that worries me. We didn't really have a plan B. There was never a other formation, sorry, that would go to. So that does worry me a little bit. Um, I've done a league prediction and I've put us 14th, which
Okay.
maybe a bit deluded.
No, man, you have to say it with your chest. You have to come
Yeah.
on the blocks heavy. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, I just think we've just like gone above expectations of the last
Yeah.
2 seasons. I think we can do it again. I think we'll stay up definitely. I
Yeah.
think there's teams that will struggle a lot more than us. There's obviously point deductions being talked about for other teams like Everton and Leicester, which will help massively in our favour. And I think we'll just kick on, and I think we'll have quite a good season actually, and then hopefully become a Premier League team for the future and stay there.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. But I mean, you bring up great points, right? The start of your season is definitely not easy. Liverpool at home, Man City away to start, right? I mean, it obviously gets easier, but again, there's no easy games in the Premier League, and at the same time, you mentioned the point about not having a plan B. That was Burnley's main downfall, I want to say, right? The fact that Vincent Company was so rigid with the way he wanted to play. But the thing is, I'm not sure if Scott McKenna is going to be that adamant about it. Surely at some point, you're going to have to accept, listen, I think we need to respect our opposition, know how we can play our system, like choose your timing sort of thing. Like maybe it's the home games that you guys play the way you play, but then for away games, maybe after a few scathing losses, he might adjust system, right? But that's something that, yeah, I guess we'll have to kind of find out. So other than what we've discussed, is there anything else you want to maybe touch on or tell the listeners before we talk about, some of the Fantrax assets?
Yeah, I'd say um, definitely not to underestimate us. I think we will do quite well.
Nice.
But as you were just saying there, I think, yeah, well, what in our last pre-season game, we actually started with 5 at the back and had Ben Johnson right wing back. So I think McKenna is kind of thinking of ideas, because I don't think you can go away to Man City second game of the season, just play how you think you want to play.
Yeah.
I think that could be a bit of a humbling, but I also think playing them sort of teams at the start when we don't have much like expectations, people don't know what to think of us, sort of thing. I think it's a good time to play, and obviously Liverpool having a new manager, I think it's a really good time to play them. And yeah, I'm excited. I think we might get a result from Liverpool.
Love that. I love the
I think
confidence.
we might. Maybe not a win, but maybe a draw. I'll take a draw.
Yeah, I love the confidence. Okay, awesome. So now let's move on to the Fantrax side of things. So who is your first pick from Ipswich? There's a popular name that's going around, and it's Mr. Davis with over 100 key passes from last season, but I would like to know what you think.
It is definitely Leif Davis. He was absolutely brilliant for us last season. He's like kind of your modern day left back. He'll get forward,
Mm.
bomb on. I think he got 18 assists last season. That just says it all, I think. From left back, that is quite incredible. And he was one of our best players. He also takes set pieces as well,
Hmm.
which obviously you'll get a lot of assists from. And like I think in fan tracks, defenders are hard to come by for getting decent points.
Yeah.
And I think the ones that get the most are obviously your Trippiers,
Mm.
who take set pieces and obviously get a lot of assists from them. So I think he's your best option from Ipswich, definitely. He was my first pick in the draft we done.
Nice. Which round did you take him? Do you remember?
I think it was around round 5.
Okay. Okay. How
But
many people in your league?
there's 12, and there's also a lot of Ipswich Town fans, so I was quite happy about that one.
Oh, well, yeah. See, no, that's the thing is like, regardless of what like the average draft position of an asset is, it all really depends on draft day itself, right? You need to know who you're drafting against because fans will always reach for the players that they support. Like
Exactly.
people at the end of the day, you need to try and draft assets that you're gonna enjoy watching, that you enjoy the game. Like it's not just about fantasy. Like you wanna be able to support the team that you support as well, right? So yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I think Leaf is a no brainer. Unfortunately, I don't think I got him in any leagues.
Okay.
So I don't know. I might have to send some trades out based on how you sold it, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
aside
Give him
from
a go.
aside from Leaf, who are the next 3 assets that you've got in mind, and which rounds would you be taking them?
Yeah, so I think the rounds I've got them in is probably me thinking about our league where it
Mm,
had a few more town fans. So I think you could probably get these sort of players a bit later. I think the next one's got to be Amari Hutchinson.
yeah.
I think he'll get a lot of starts for us this season. He'll get a lot of goals and assists. So I think he's definitely the next pick I'd have. I've got him down as round 6,
Okay.
but I reckon you might be able to get him a bit later on, I'd say.
Yeah.
After that, I've got down Connor Chaplin. 21 goal contributions last season just talks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He should be playing a lot this season. I think it kind of depends who we're going to get in, injuries, because I could have seen Amari Hutchinson taking over that cam role, but I think with signings how it's all been, it seems like Chaplin will keep that cam position like he did last season.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely a good player to get in. I've got him as round 8, but I think you could definitely get him a bit later, I think.
Okay.
Finally, I've got Wes Burns. I don't think many people talk about Wes Burns, but
Not at all. No. First time I'm hearing about this.
yeah. So Wes Burns was, I think he's a very good system player. He's just very quick and direct. I don't know if you saw his Trevella goal last season.
No, I didn't. I can't even find him in the game actually.
Oh, really?
Has he signed yet? Wes Burns.
He's definitely in there. We had him. I think we've had him 2 or 3 seasons now. So
Interesting. Maybe I'm just blind, but no. Tell it. Oh yeah, I could see him as a forward. There you go. Average draft position 1,097 and 0.48.
Yeah.
So no one knows about him.
maybe he should have been my hidden gem there. Maybe I put him in the wrong position. But I think he'd be my 4th pick as a town player because,
Okay.
yeah, he's very direct. He runs at his play. He got quite a few goals and assists. And the goal I told you about, the Trevella, you got to check that out. It's an unbelievable goal. He got championship goal of the season, actually. And yeah, he, as I say, is just very quick and direct. So he's that sort of player that you need in the Premier League. I'm not saying he's as good as him, but Doherty for Luton last season.
Yeah.
I can see him being that sort of player, kind of adapting to the Prem quite well. And yeah, hopefully it's as good as him, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people were drawing the Doughty comparison actually with Leif Davis because it was a similar sort of defensive player that keeps whipping in accurate crosses, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Leif is going to be Doughty 2.0 for this season, potentially.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully he'll be a bit better. I think he will because he takes set pieces, doesn't he?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Doherty
yeah.
didn't. But Doherty got a lot of points, so I think that's a
Yeah.
good comparison actually. Both fullbacks, so yeah, that's a
Okay,
good comparison.
interesting. All right. Who have you got as a hidden gem then?
My hidden gem, I've gone for Sam Morsey.
Mm,
He's our captain. He'll start every game. He's the heartbeat of a team. He gets the most tackles, the most passes, most interceptions. So I think every week he'll get your solid 7+ points, which I think is quite respectable actually. Unless he has an absolute stinker and gets minus, you never know, or gets sent off. He
Yeah,
gets a
yeah.
lot of yellow cards actually, so he'll
Okay.
lose a few points for that. But I
Duly
think,
noted.
yeah, but he'll play a lot of game. He'll play every game if he's available, and yeah, I think he's probably my hidden gem. But by the sounds of it, it should have been Burns if you don't know who he was.
Don't worry, I'm gonna tell everybody go get Morsey, go get Morsey. Awesome. So then, who would you consider as a trap asset from Ipswich?
I think this could be quite harsh, but I've put down Liam Delap.
Okay.
Just with him being a new signing, I think he will start as our striker, but I'm not sure he'll play striker for the whole of the season.
Mhm.
With obviously Hurst is out, so I think he might have started over him at the moment. Sammy Smodix is linked, and he's a striker who scored a lot of goals, so I can see him coming in. So I think Delap is a bit of a risk, maybe one that you should take with him being young and coming into the Prem. So yeah, I'd say Liam Delap is a trap just because he's such a risk, I'd say.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Any other assets you want to talk about before we move on to our final segment?
Yeah, I think Johnson Greaves are good shouts actually. They should start most games, I'd say. I think Greaves is definitely a good shout because I think he scored quite a few headers last season for Hull from
Okay.
centre back. So I think he's a good pickup. Muric, as you said last season, he got quite a few points.
Yeah.
And he's obviously got to face quite a lot of shots. I think we do how we play. We do get a lot of shots come at us, and he deals with them really well from what I've seen. So he'll get a lot of saves. I'm not sure we'll get many clean sheets, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, at least not to start the season, definitely.
No, exactly.
All right, awesome. So I guess we move on to our final segment then. For our final segment, we're gonna pick your brain as a Fantrax manager corner. We got a couple of fun questions, couple of serious ones. So my first fun one would be, do you typically have a drafting day tradition? So do you have to wear like an Ipswich kit? Do you show up to your draft day in a tractor? Like, what's your tradition?
I wish I did it like that. I didn't think of anything like that, to be honest. It was quite boring. Just had a shower before, and then just sat on my bed picking my players. But I think I prepped a lot before, just making sure I had the right players in order. Because I think last year I did it. I just had them everywhere, and I just didn't know who to pick. So I think I was really prepared for it this time, but maybe next time I'll have to turn up in my tractor and have my town top on and do it like that.
So I take it you've moved from like being a vibes manager to now like an Excel sheet. You've got a list. Like you're a bit more like structured in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. So last season was actually my first season doing Fantrax. So
Okay.
usually I'd do your old like FPL ones, which weren't as fun. I didn't find.
Yeah.
And then obviously I moved to this company, and they mentioned about the football draft. So I was like, okay, let's give this a go. And yeah, it's just great fun. I've absolutely it's the best Fantrax or fantasy league you can do, isn't it? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to describe to people because I mean, when you look at it for the first time and seeing like the scoring system and everything, it can feel a bit daunting, like a bit overwhelming. But once you get a taste for it, you give it a few game weeks, man. Once that bug has bitten you, it's hard to stop
exactly.
playing Fantrax.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fun, and once you commit to it, it is so much fun, isn't it? And I think it's actually harder as well because obviously on the like generic fantasies, your like defensive midfielders, them sort of players won't get many points, but this has got everything in it, and
Exactly.
the point systems, how you pick the players up,
Yeah.
making sure you're in the like right position in the waiver order. I think there's just so much elements to it, just make it so fun.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have said it better, mate. All right. So have you got any experience with trading draft picks?
Yeah. So, do you mean as in how I'd go about it?
So as in so it sounds because you're a bit new to Fantrax. So for example, if you had the first pick in the draft and I had the ninth pick in the draft, I would trade you my ninth pick, let's say the first round, and you give me your second round first pick or whatever, and
Oh, okay.
something like that, right? To kind of get values and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't. It sounds like maybe you haven't tried that before.
No, I think we're quite basic to be honest, how we do it. This sounds really cool actually. We should really do it. It seems like you do it kind of like how they do it in basketball and NBA.
Exactly
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
quite exciting actually.
And especially if you have like a dynasty league, you've got a group of mates, you're gonna play for like 5, 6 seasons. Like for example, in our dynasty league, there are managers that have traded like this year's first pick for like 2 years down the road sort of
Oh,
first pick.
okay, I
Like,
like that.
and that's the beauty of Fantrax, right? It's such a, even though it's a complex system, it gives you the flexibility to kind of create things your own way, right? So okay, so I'm guessing then you haven't played with Fab, given how basic it is. No, because I think
No,
we chatted about this off air as well, right?
yeah, so Gav actually mentioned it.
Yeah,
He mentioned bringing it into our league, and I think it's such a good idea because obviously it brings in different elements,
exactly.
and it's not just like so we how we do it at the moment is if you want to play, you just go in the waiver order.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know you're not going to get that player because if you're quite low, but obviously bringing in the fab factor, I think that would definitely be quite fun, and I think we'll have to look into it and get some tips from you and bring it in.
Mate, my lines are always open. And listen, I've told you about joining the Discord as well. And I tell the listeners all the time. I think we plugged it like maybe 15 times in like the Manchester United episode. But come join the Discord. We've got such an amazing community of Fantrax managers, and everyone is always willing to give you advice, give you help. And we've got different channels for different, things like you want to do a mock, there's always mocks running. You want advice on, how your draft is going, like which pick you can make next, you're more than welcome to ask that question as well. And I mean, as well, I work with the Draft Society. It's an independent group of content creators. They've also got an amazing website with a bunch of tools and articles that can kind of help you get started, even, with trying out Fab for the first time in your league. So there's tons of resources, and don't worry. After we finish recording, I'm gonna point you in the right direction. So
Nice, I'll get involved. Good stuff.
so in terms of how you make your waiver picks right now, so I'm assuming you guys just go based on like reverse like standings or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we go like that at the moment. Yeah.
So when you're making your your weekly waiver picks, do you look at like the upcoming fixtures for assets? Do you look at like their current form? How what's your like criteria?
So firstly, I try not to pick up kind of free agents too much, so I'm a bit higher up the waiver order. But I think a key thing is to kind of look at fixtures coming up because I think if you say picking a lower league player and they've got say Man City coming up, Liverpool, Chelsea, they've got some tough games. I don't think it's worth too much picking them up. But obviously, if you've got a lower league team that have got some easier fixtures, I think it's worth just taking a risk on a player like that because I think obviously with 5 subs that is a lot on Fantrax, so it's always worth just taking a risk on a player. Like for example, when Tottenham signed Solanke,
Yeah.
the other day I picked up Unal, the striker.
Yeah, I like
Who
that.
he's injured at the moment, but I just thought he might start. He'll start most games, I think, and he's known for being a good striker. Has he done well in the league? So I thought I'd take a risk on him.
Yeah, I think he's absolute class. Like even in his limited starts or minutes from last season, when he came on the pitch, he scored good Fantrax
He
points,
looked
man.
good, didn't he? Yeah,
Yeah, he knows
exactly.
where the back of the net is. Like I like that pick definitely. And the thing is, if your squad can afford to be patient, and it's almost like you have a dead spot on your bench, but if you have like a great starting 11, then you can kind of run with that handicap until Enes is back, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got way too many forwards already, so I didn't really need to do it. But yeah, I just thought I'd take the risk. I think so. It automatically picked a Awonyi for me.
Okay, okay.
Um, and I think he's injured at the moment. I'm not too sure he'll come back smashing it for Nottingham Forest. I don't think they'll do too well this season.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd take the risk on Unal and hopefully it pays off.
Fair play. Yeah, hopefully, man. All right. Did you do any trades last season in your league, like player for player trades?
I did, yeah, I did a couple.
Have you got any best worst moments?
Um, I don't think I had any absolute stinkers. So I had Jesus and I managed to trade him for Isaac.
Hey, that is a
Yeah,
massive trade, bro.
I'm not sure how I did it, but I did it. I can't remember how I got Jesus, but then it was with Gav actually, and
Okay.
he offered me that, and I was like, yes, definitely, let's do it right now. And luckily, I think Isaac was injured for a while, and then he came back,
Yeah.
and then I got him then, and then he just smashed it. So I
Yeah.
was buzzing with that one. Another one I did, I had Paqueta, and
Mhm.
I traded him for Anthony Gordon.
Wow.
Yeah, so
How
I
the
was good
hell
with
are
the
you pulling
Newcastle
these trades
boys.
off, man?
I don't know. I don't know if this is my charm or something, but I was very lucky with it.
That's probably how you got on the podcast as well, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. The only bad one I really had, which wasn't horrendous, so I managed to pick up Doku in
Okay.
January, which he
Yeah.
got a lot of points, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I thought he started to fade out a bit and wasn't
Hmm.
really doing as well for Man City. So I actually got Paqueta back for Doku,
Okay.
which it was an okay trade, but
Yeah.
it didn't turn out as well. I think Doku did end up getting more points, but it
Yeah.
wasn't too much of a stinker, luckily.
Yeah, yeah. Man, you're a good trader. I need to bring you back on, get some notes and stuff like that. Yeah,
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 exactly.
that's pretty solid. All right. So before we move on from Ipswich completely, given the start of your season, do you think there are any assets from Ipswich that we could potentially buy low or sell high?
Um, I think most of them, to be honest, because I don't think most of them will kind of be wanted by too many people.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think if it was, say, your cities or your Chelsea, people will want them sort of players. So I think kind of being new to the Premier League, our players not having too much experience, I think it's kind of a risk worth taking where I think most of them will be low and will come for good value. So I think obviously, like I've said already, Mari Hutchinson, Leaf Davis, Wes Burns, Chaplin. I think it's worth taking a risk on these sort of players who will play for Ipswich this season.
Okay, so it sounds like really like a buy low across the board almost, unless
Exactly.
it's like popular assets like your Chaplins or your Davises or your
Yeah.
Hutchinsons sort of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
Westburn goes on the notes.
Wes Burns, there we are. You remember that name now, won't you?
Of course, I won't forget it, mate. All right, brilliant. So, final question for the pod is, I guess, given the fact that you've only played one season of Fantrax, this is your second season. What are some of the lessons you learned from last season that you're taking into your upcoming campaign that you think might bring you more success?
I think, like I said earlier, was trying not to get too many free agent picks in. But I think that obviously how our league is, I think that's a big thing for my league. But obviously with you guys having Fab, I'm not sure if most people do it. I think that one doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to keep out on players that are getting injured,
Mm-hmm.
picking up kind of their next in player, like I did with
Yeah.
Who now.
Yeah.
I think it's always like good keeping an eye on that because I think some of them can come really good and keep their spot and keep that player on the bench. I'd also say a big one for me last season was not holding on to injured players for too long.
Yeah.
I had Elise for a lot of the season.
Mm.
Obviously, he did get a lot of points, so he was good, but he got injured a lot also, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I dropped in near the end, and then when he came back, he smashed it again. So I was a bit gutted
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then I think you can't hold on for them too long. Like some people picking Tony last season, I don't think that was a good idea
I
because he
did that.
came back halfway through the season. But like you,
I did that.
oh
It's
no,
well, I mean, I had a bit of emotional tie to it. It's because Tony and I share the same birthday, so I was like, I gotta pick
fair
my
enough.
boy, yo.
Yeah, he is a hell of a player, but I think he was just out too long. I
Yeah.
think he was way too long. So
Yeah.
yeah, not holding on to injured players for too long. I think there's some lessons I learned from last season, definitely. But I'm just really excited for the new season already.
Awesome.
So it's such a fun app.
All right, great. Well, listeners, that's all we had planned for tonight's pod. Connor, before we sign off, any final words you want to say?
I'll just give a quick shout out to the Smartest boys. All the boys at Smartest. Hopefully, it's a good season this year again, and hopefully, Town do well. The Tractor boys, we'll see.
Love it. Love it. Listeners, thank you so much again for tuning in to yet another Inside Tracks episode. This was Everything Ipswich. I'm absolutely buzzing to have Connor on board in terms of being part of the Inside Tracks group as well. And yeah, we've got a couple more clubs to cover. I think it's Bournemouth and Fulham, almost at the finish line. Stick with us. The season is just around the corner. Cannot wait to get started. But yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.